Welcome to Fast Five, where our three panelists weigh in on 5 separate topics. Let's get started. Danielle, the Mattress Store yanked its ad spoofing 9/11 with the towers of mattresses falling over and stuff.
Oh, have you seen this video?
Who was the brainiac that came up with that one?
I watched it. It was the store owner and I think 2 employees, and it absolutely was just wildly inappropriate and tasteless. I think it was just a small furniture store.
Well, that's my
in
hope,
San
because
Antonio.
if they had a marketing department, they should all be on the market
I
for a new
highly
job.
doubt that they did have anybody consulting them against this. This 9/11 is not a reason to have a sale.
No.
I feel the same way about Memorial Day, Veterans Day, and a lot of that is truly getting out of hand. I think maybe they just really lost sight of what was going on here.
Colin, there is no such thing as bad publicity, only publicity. And this perhaps small mattress store or furniture store or whatever they are now has national attention.
They do have national attention,
Could
but I
this
think
work in their favor?
No. No, I honestly cannot see how in Dallas, Texas, anybody's going to buy a mattress from these guys, at least until they forget about this whole. So for 3 weeks, nobody's going to buy a mattress from them.
I would argue they will. But
Her
it'll be
apology
interesting.
was almost even worse. The company was called Miracle Mattresses, I believe, and she was in tears saying, "We create miracles," as an apology. So I just don't.
I guess if you
see
suffer
that
from
working out.
insomnia, but your mattress might be a miracle.
All right, GM recalls 4.3 million vehicles over a defect related to airbags. This is serious stuff, guys. Colin, what do you think on this one?
4 words. Here we go again.
Here we go again.
Were they Takata?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think Takata should get out of the
Airbag
It's
business.
about time.
business.
But I thought they fixed all their problems with whatever it was that caused it to expand.
They supposedly did, and hopefully, but as when you're dealing with, as with safety, most safety equipment, so airbags, seat belts. If you look at these parts, there are only a few companies worldwide that make them. Their production numbers are huge. They have stock, they have overstock, stuff that's being shipped out. Maintaining that entire inventory, I think. Is it really still an endemic problem? Is it that there were parts that were mislabeled or misplaced that were not addressed? Whatever the case is, I think it is again, just because of the volume, it's certainly a concerning matter, right? Because you certainly don't want to be in an accident and or not be in an accident and have your airbag take your face off. But
Right.
I think it's also very bad news for GM.
Okay, I can't feel my face when I'm with your airbag. That wasn't the name of the song. Danielle, what do you think?
I don't have too much to say other than, it's a shame for issues like this that, the testing began back in 2014, I think, and they're just now beginning to recall the vehicles. And as we were talking earlier about the glacial process of fixing problems of this magnitude, it's unfortunate.
Well, and I think if you're GM, recalling 4.3 million vehicles is something that you don't want to do on a whim.
That's a pretty big oops.
It is a big oops.
All right, Board of Education backs the intent to share Hagerstown space with USMH. I'm going to weigh in on this one and then toss it. How should we partner? Any way we can. I think this is a great thing. I think we have people at both of those places that are thinking outside of the box, and I think that's how we're successful. Danielle, what say you?
I definitely agree. I don't know how you couldn't. I understand that there still needs to, there's some negotiation happening with the sublease with the Board of Education and the university, but I'd be happy to see the kids not have to walk across the street every day myself. If you walk or drive through downtown in the middle of the day and there's just a large group, if we have, they're talking about building a cafeteria in that space, along with the hospitality program, and to have it right there with the Maryland Theater and with Barbara Ingram, I think it's thumbs up for me.
Colin?
Excuse me. I would offer only 3 words for my answer, believe it or
Okay.
not. It's going to be a very short one,
All right.
which I've already exhausted, but it's about time.
about
That's the
time.
only thing I have to say.
Okay, very good. London Railway unlocks Great Plague DNA. What do we think about that one?
The reality is, when it comes to, there's a couple of things we're talking about. First of all, having genealogy results for people who died in London during that Great Plague. There are 100 some odd thousand people that died. So there are literally probably entire family lines that became extinct during that period of time. So that's part of it that's interesting. I think the other part that's interesting is the actual genealogy of the disease itself. Although, you know, and I read this several years ago, the bubonic plague as it existed during medieval times would actually not be able to survive in a modern human's body because of the toxins that we ingest regularly. And I find that to be highly ironic.
A little scary too, Danielle.
Really, I think this is really interesting discovery. In that area, it was a burial ground behind a hospital, I believe, and over the years there have been other skeletal remains found, but in this case they were able to pinpoint through the genealogy and science that it was from 1665, this Great Plague that wiped out, I think, 25% of London's population at the time. It's really fascinating. There's not a lot that we know about that event, and for DNA to have evolved to where it is now, to learn more about it is maybe we'll solve the mystery.
Cool. All right, FAA warns passengers not to use Colin's Samsung Galaxy Note 7. Is that what you have, Colin?
I do not have a Note.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so, you know, great news for Apple, right?
Right.
Because they just released the iPhone 7. But
Which is better than any phone they've released in the past, marginally.
Well, of course it is, because, well, one would say that you progress normally. Yeah. And the second part is, now, keep in mind, remember that Apple had its own battery issues a few years ago.
Remember.
So it's, I think...
As well as the bendable issue.
And the bendable issue. The hipster pocket issue, if you will.
Right.
I think it's, you know, the competition is so fierce, and especially between Samsung and Apple right now. They're rushing products to market. They're not doing their testing, their due diligence testing, and this is what happens.
All right. Danielle?
I am a Samsung user myself. I have to say my 6 that I bought back in December took an unfortunate nosedive into a very specific body of water within my house. But it's obviously just a bad week for recalls, and good for Apple coming up. I think it's actually going to be released in a couple weeks. Or did it already go?
Yeah, I think,
Oh, yeah.
it's out.
Just
don't take it on a plane.
Don't take it on a plane. I think I've even heard it just charging it anywhere, not just the plane.
And don't
They're
dump it
having
in
problems.
a specific body of water, right?
Watch out for that.
All right, we'll give Danielle the last word on that. Next up, the last call. Stick around. 3 minutes. We'll be back.